Keir Starmer is now facing the fiercest political backlash of his career. Just hours after announcing what he framed as a breakthrough in restoring UK-EU relations, the whole plan collapsed under pressure. Instead of applause, he got outrage. Parliament erupted. What was supposed to be a diplomatic win has been slammed as a betrayal of Brexit, tone-deaf, reckless and politically explosive. And the backlash isn't just coming from across the aisle. Starmer's own party is turning on him. What began as quiet frustration has erupted into open revolt. Loyal allies are disappearing, backbenchers are publicly breaking ranks, and for the first time in years, MPs from every corner of Parliament are rallying behind a no-confidence motion that's gaining momentum fast. At the centre of the storm is one word. Starmer once vowed to honour the Brexit vote. Now, his critics are calling him the man undoing it. They say he isn't defending British sovereignty, he's chipping away at it, quietly reopening the EU door that voters slammed shut in 2016. This isn't a debate over policy, it's a full-blown political war. And with this move, Starmer may have just declared it on the very legacy he promised to protect. The outrage reached boiling point when the fine print of Starmer's so-called breakthrough surfaced, exposing a buried clause that hands EU fishing fleets extended access to British waters until 2038. This wasn't a temporary concession. It was 12 more years of foreign trawlers sweeping UK seas, while coastal towns already on the edge are left with empty harbours and shattered trust. But this anger isn't just about lost profits. It runs deeper. For many, this was never just about fish. It was about control. The Brexit vote was a rejection of lopsided deals like this. Fishing communities were promised sovereignty. They were promised a voice. Instead, they got another round of EU dominance, disguised as diplomacy. Bases like Grimsby and Fraserburgh aren't debating policy points, they're fighting for survival. To them, this deal doesn't feel like strategy, it feels like surrender. And once again, the narrative is painfully familiar. Brussels gets what it wants, and Britain picks up the pieces. The critics, this deal isn't a strategic move, it's surrender. Analysts warn it guts the UK's bargaining power in future negotiations, locking the country into a position of weakness for more than a decade. The symbolism is just as damaging. Granting EU trawlers extended access so soon after Brexit sends one message loud and clear. Starmer isn't defending British sovereignty, he's aligning with Brussels. And before the backlash over fishing had even settled, another political flashpoint erupted. Starmer quietly greenlit a youth mobility scheme allowing EU citizens aged 18 to 30 to live and work in the UK for up to 3 years. Officially, it's pitched as a cultural exchange. But critics aren't buying it. Beneath the branding, they see a return to free movement, without saying the words. The scheme has no cap, no hard restrictions, no serious enforcement, just a wide-open path that looks, to millions, like a direct breach of the Brexit mandate. For voters who backed Leave to reclaim border control, this doesn't look like reform, it looks like betrayal dressed as policy. For Brexit voters, this felt like the ultimate betrayal. Not just a line crossed, but stomped on. Immigration control wasn't a footnote in 2016, it was the core of the vote. And now, with the youth mobility scheme wide open, that foundation is cracking under pressure. Inside Labour HQ, alarm bells are blaring. Senior members fear Starmer hasn't just reignited the Brexit culture war, he's poured gasoline on it. And in doing so, he may have handed Reform UK its biggest political opening yet. The red wall voters Labour desperately needs are already slipping away into the hands of the one man whose entire platform was built on protecting Brexit at all costs, Nigel Farage. And Farage wasted no time. While Labour scrambled to defend the deals, Farage blitzed the media. Interviews, podcasts, TikToks that exploded overnight. His message was sharp and simple. Starmer is dismantling Brexit, piece by piece, using loopholes and backdoors to undo what millions voted for. This isn't policy debate anymore, it's political trench warfare. Farage frames Starmer as a Brussels yes-man, shaking hands with diplomats while ignoring fishermen in Whitby and laid-off workers in Stoke. That contrast is cutting deep. The Reform UK's online reach is exploding, fueled not by pensioners, but by younger, disillusioned voters who believe Farage is the only one still defending the Brexit they were promised. The optics couldn't be worse for Starmer. He's been branded as the face of globalism, smiling for cameras in Brussels while trust back home disintegrates. In a climate of voter fatigue and post-Brexit frustration, every handshake with EU leaders hands Farage fresh ammunition. Labour insists it's economic pragmatism, but Farage's message is landing louder. This is surrender, plain and simple. The deeper analysts dig into Starmer's so-called reset, the more it resembles a full-scale reversal. This isn't a policy fine-tune. It's a hard pivot back toward the institutions Brexit aimed to break away from. The deal dragged British farming back under EU food and animal welfare rules, effectively placing UK agriculture in Brussels' orbit once again. It also opens legal back channels, where the European Court of Justice could regain influence, crossing a line many Leave voters believed had been closed for good. Then there's the defence clause. Tucked away in the fine print is a roadmap for closer military coordination with EU structures. Early-stage joint planning and strategic alignment. To some, it reads like the first draft of a future European army. None of this is cosmetic. These aren't small side deals. They represent a structural shift. A quiet but decisive step back toward the very power centres millions thought they had walked away from. Supporters say these deals will streamline trade and fix regulatory chaos. But critics see a deeper threat, a quiet slide back into the entanglements Brexit was meant to end. They warn this sets a dangerous precedent. Sweeping agreements, signed behind closed doors, without a single vote cast, trading sovereignty for short-term political convenience. Now the backlash has gone from loud to seismic. Tory MPs are openly talking no confidence. Reform UK is demanding an emergency general election, but the real panic is unfolding inside Labour itself. Starmer's inner circle can see the ground shifting. Long-time loyalists are hesitating. The cracks are spreading fast. What started as private discomfort is morphing into organised resistance. Whispers have turned into backroom strategy meetings, Quiet alliances are forming, and inside Labour HQ, one fear is dominating every conversation. Sticking with Starmer could cost them everything, especially in the Brexit strongholds they once promised to reclaim. The silence says it all. Some MPs have vanished from interviews. Others are subtly walking back their support. Behind closed doors, many are calling the EU deal political suicide. And with Reform UK surging, the alarm bells aren't just ringing, they're screaming. Behind closed doors, Starmer is furious. Sources say he's accused internal critics of betrayal and even threatened deselection. But the damage is already done. What was pitched as bold leadership is now seen, even by Labour MPs, as a disastrous misstep. The plan was to quietly roll out the deal, wrap it in jargon and perks, and hope no one noticed the compromises. Instead, it blew up. The backlash didn't fade. It became the story. And voters are watching closely. In places like Hull, Plymouth and Redcar, anger is raw. This doesn't feel like policy, it feels personal. Protests are brewing. Petitions are spreading. Local councils are under pressure. Labour's comms team is trying to reframe the deal as a modern Brexit. But Leave voters aren't buying it. This isn't about border queues, it's about sovereignty. The promise of 2016 feels like it's being erased behind closed doors. Across the country, one word keeps coming up: betrayal. And the fallout is growing. Reform UK is climbing in the polls, Starmer's approval is slipping, and once safe red wall seats are back on the edge. This goes beyond a political blunder. It's a slow-burning constitutional crisis, one that reopens deep questions about trust, democracy, and identity. By tying the UK back into EU frameworks on trade, law, defence and migration, Starmer has revived the very battles Brexit was meant to end. Now, with a no-confident vote looming, his leadership is hanging by a thread. This isn't political theatre, it's a turning point. One that could fracture Labour, shake Parliament, and reshape Britain's future with Europe. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching.